In the mid-18th century, the British East India Company began to gradually establish its rule over India. This period marked the dawn of the British Raj, a reign that would last nearly 2 centuries, fundamentally transforming India's political, social, and economic landscapes. The East India Company's rule was characterized by a profound sense of discontent among the Indian populace. Policies such as the doctrine of lapse, heavy taxation, and interference with religious practices sowed seeds of resentment and rebellion. This simmering unrest culminated in the Indian Rebellion of 1857, a watershed moment in India's struggle against colonial rule. After the rebellion, power was transferred from the company to the British Crown, marking the official start of the British Raj. However, the flames of nationalism were already kindled. By the early 20th century, a fervent nationalist movement was taking shape, advocating for self-governance and freedom from British rule. By the mid-20th century, the call for independence was growing louder, and the British government was beginning to consider its exit strategy. The stage for partition was set during the Second World War, when the British promised India independence in return for support during the war. As the promise of independence loomed, the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League, 2 major political players, found themselves at odds with each other. Jawaharlal Nehru, the leader of the Congress, envisioned a united India, free from the shackles of colonial rule. He believed in a secular, democratic nation where everyone, irrespective of their religion, would have equal rights. In contrast, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, had a different perspective. He argued that Muslims, being a minority, would be marginalized in a predominantly Hindu India. Jinnah demanded a separate Muslim state, a demand that would later form the basis of Pakistan. The British, keen to exit smoothly from the subcontinent, found themselves in a quandary. They entered into negotiations with both parties, seeking a compromise. However, the deep-seated differences between the Congress and the Muslim League proved insurmountable. In the end, the British decided to partition India. They believed it was the only viable solution to the religious strife and political deadlock. On June 3, 1947, the British government announced the plan for partition, setting in motion a series of events that would change the subcontinent forever. The partition of India was one of the largest mass migrations in human history, accompanied by unparalleled violence. As the dividing lines were drawn, chaos ensued. There was a frenzied upheaval of life, as millions of people found themselves on the wrong side of the border. Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs, who had been living as neighbors for centuries, were suddenly forced to identify as enemies. The homes they had known all their lives were now in a foreign land, and they had to leave, often with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. This mass exodus was marred by unspeakable violence and bloodshed. Communal riots erupted, fueled by fear and animosity. Houses were set on fire, villages were destroyed, and trains carrying refugees were attacked. The loss of life was staggering, with estimates ranging from several 100,000 to 2 million. The violence was such that it seemed humanity itself was partitioned. But the partition was not just about the displacement of people. It was about the birth of 2 new nations, India and Pakistan. They emerged from the ashes of the British Raj, carrying the heavy burden of their shared past and the hope of a better future. Yet their birth was fraught with conflict and tension. The issue of Kashmir, a princely state with a Muslim majority and a Hindu ruler, became a bone of contention that led to 3 wars and continues to be a flashpoint between the 2 nations. The partition of India was a monumental event that forever altered the course of history. It changed the lives of millions, redefined boundaries, and created 2 nations out of 1. Yet it left a legacy of deep-seated bitterness, communal tension, and unresolved issues. The partition of India left a deep and lasting impact, the repercussions of which can still be felt today. The partition of India was a monumental event in world history, shaped by a complex interplay of political, religious, and social factors. This tale we've woven together saw the unfolding of the British Raj, the rise of the nationalist movement, the consequential decision to partition, and the tumultuous aftermath that followed. These key points encapsulate the rich tapestry of this historical saga. In the end, the partition of India serves as a stark reminder of the far-reaching consequences of political decisions and the enduring power of human resilience.